Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the TEW 2016 Challenge Run. We're here with Monday Night Raw, and let's just jump into it because I've got nothing to... I don't think. No, I've got nothing to go off. We open Raw with Stephanie McMahon in the ring, just like last week. And she says, obviously, because they'd be booing, they'd be cheering for Becky. And she's like, oh, I understand why you'd be disappointed, but Becky refused the orders of me, myself, Triple H, Vince, to not go and see the doctor last week. And she needs to be punished for her actions for that. So she had to be suspended, and she's not going to be unsuspended until she gets word from Becky herself that she's seen the doctor and she's cleared or not cleared. And as for the attack, Stephanie's going to let that one slide for now, because she understands Becky's frustrations and doesn't want to start something that may cause Becky to be more concerned for going to see the doctor. So she's like, okay, just get your frustrations out, it's fine. And she says that since last week, not Stephanie, not Shane or Triple H or Vince have heard from Becky at all. So if this happens, we haven't heard back from Becky till next week. They have to look into cancelling the match and finding a replacement for Ronda for WrestleMania. We then get Lucha House Party versus the Revival Part 572. And the Revival pick up the win because they're the Revival. Metalik was apparently the best hard and trying of everyone else in this match. They both have excellent chemistry, so that's good. And then after the match, the Revival grab the mics and they cut a promo. They say that beating the Lucha House Party was the last thing they need to do to get that monkey off their back about this conspiracy they think's been holding them down. And at the Elimination Chamber, they're going to bring back the Revival of old and take the Raw Tag titles from Rude and Gable. Rude and Gable then come out and interrupt them and explain that the Revival have never beaten Rude and Gable, and that's not because of referee dodgy decisions or because foot under the ropes or any other kind of conspiracy against the Revival. That's just because the Revival aren't as good as they say they are, and that Rude and Gable are really the top guys of the Raw Tag Division, and when they next face off against the Revival, they'll prove that in the ring. See, the thing here is, do you want to start building up the tag division more? This is just the sort of simple stuff you have to do, because I honestly, in the real Raw, can't remember the last time Rude and Gable had a promo. And you can't just make people care about the division just by having pointless matches. You've got to actually build some sort of story, which is what I'm going for here. Then get backstage, Sasha Banks and Bayley discussing how they're going to win the Elimination Chamber. And then they're interrupted by the two most charismatic, greatest wrestlers on the planet, Nia Jax and Tamina. Nia talks about how destructive she is in a regular ring because she's a big girl. She'd probably bring up, being a clumsy fuck who broke Becky's face and injured Zelina Vega. And then imagine the kind of damage that someone like that can do when they're trapped inside a steel chamber. And Sasha and Bayley say, you think you're dangerous? Well, we're better than you, and we'll prove it right now. And they have a match. And Sasha and Bayley win it, because I'm not going to give Nia and Tamina a win. Any match that Nia and Tamina are going to be a part of would fit the match crew that I have to do. So that's fun. We then get a moment of bliss. Alexa on the stage. And she's going to bring out her special guest this week, who is Renee Young. Alexa warns her that this isn't going to be your average run-of-the-mill talk show, and Alexa's going to fire some of the hard questions towards Renee, and she's fine with that. And Alexa asks about what went down with Renee and Dean Ambrose last week. And then Renee explains that she saw he was not himself. He tried to console her husband. but he didn't want to speak to her, and he sort of just stormed off to the back. And she says that he's not been on the road with the roster all week, and she's tried calling him, and he's not returned any of her phone calls. Alexa then asks, she says she's going to ask the question everybody wants to know, and that is the question, why is Dean Ambrose frustrated and not extending his contract after WrestleMania? Renee picks up the microphone, and she's like, and she's about to answer it. And then we hear Tyler Breeze, his theme song, and he comes out. Breeze says that Ambrose is seeing it out because he thought he was going to get an easy win over Tyler last week, but he got shown up when Prince Pri rolled him up and beat him. But this isn't the reason that Breeze came here, that's just a coincidence. Breeze says he wishes, obviously, Fandango a speedy recovery because they are best friends. But in the absence of Dango, he needs to reinvent himself and to bring back what made him so great in the first place. And he says to Alexa that if she wants to join in with him and be like his groupie, he'll always be here and the offer will always be open. So Tyler Breeze doing a bit of character recreation, trying to get Alexa Bliss as his, I guess, valet. And Renee still wants to know where her husband is and why he's being how he is. We then get a match with Tyler Breeze where he beats Bo Dallas with the beauty shot. And this damaged the storyline heat because Renee was on commentary. But yeah, just another quick win for Tyler Breeze. We then get Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins backstage. They say that since they both came to Raw, which was, I believe, in the shake-up this year for Ryder and last year for Hawkins, they've not exactly had the best times. In fact, they've had a very terrible time. And the best thing they can do was come back and bring back the tag team again. And Zack Ryder said he's going to I'll make a promise to the universe and they'll remember. They'll make them... Tripping over myself. They're not going to remember the man with the horrible losing streak. After we get back together, they're going to start remembering the tag team, the youngest tag team champions in history, bro, and remind us why we were so great in the first place. So Ryder and Hawkins. We then get the other guy I need to push, Mr. Apollo Crews, picking up a win over Heath Slater after getting his win over Elias last week. And speaking of Elias, he's going to jump him after the match, smack him with the guitar on the back, because that's just... Elias will do that a lot in this save, because that's just the easiest way to book him. And he's just a salty bitch after he got beat by Apollo last week. Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre then come out. They take the credit for ending the career of Kurt Angle, and how he'll never be seen again on Raw because of his loss to Drew last week. And then they go on to say how they're the two most dominant superstars on Raw. And then they carry on talking, but then they'd be heard by like this really annoying, obnoxious laugh over the sound PA system that is Leo Rush with a microphone, who walks out on stage with the almighty, the Intercontinental Champion Bobby Lashley. Leo says that Drew and Corbin may be big and strong, but their physique isn't as good as Bobby Lashley's, and doesn't look like this. And Lashley would show off his muscles, and of course, would whip out his favourite pose, which he has to do every single week. Finn would then interrupt and come out on the stage, and he'd be like, "Hey Bobby, nobody wants to see your butt." He's lying, but okay. He says, "Last week I shut up your little runt Leo Rush, and Elimination Chamber, I'll take that Intercontinental title away from you." And then Drew from in the ring would shout at Finn, saying that he wasn't invited, no one wants him out here, and he needs to just go to the back. And then Finn's like, "Well, someone does want me out here." And then Braun would storm to the ring, and Drew would escape as Baron Corbin gets those hands. Ronda and Natalya team up to face Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke. Because of Dana and Natty being the team, what would have been 2 weeks ago. And Dana like, oh, I'll face Nettie. This would have happened obviously on like a WWE.com thing. I'll face Nettie on Raw with my partner Lacey Evans, and Nettie's like, well, my partner's Ronda Rousey, yeah. After the match though, Ronda and Nettie are celebrating their win. Obviously they'd hug, raise each other's hands up in the air, and they go to leave, Nettie would leave, and Ronda would hang around the front row of the fans. Like, hugging fans, slapping hands, until she's jumped from over the barricade by one of the fans in the crowd. You're probably thinking it's Becky. It's not Becky. It is Charlotte. Charlotte tosses her around for a bit, and then she'd go under the ring and grab the kendo stick, like she did when she fought Ronda at Survivor Series. And she would go to smack Ronda with it, but before she could actually hit her with it, road agents and referees would storm out, and Charlotte would be escorted away before she could actually cause any more damage to the Raw Women's Champion. But she was not invited. She snuck in like the cunt she is, and now Ronda is going to want a piece of Charlotte as well, so we'll see what happens there. Jinder and the Singh brothers are backstage, setting up the area so they can do some quiet meditation. They've got like a mat laid out on the floor, and they all sit down on the mat and close their eyes, and we hear Shanti, Shanti. But then from off camera, we can just pick up, oh yeah, Tucky, yeah. Otis would wander on screen, as only Otis can. And Jinder would still be meditating, and he'd pick up Otis's screams and look up, open one of his eyes and look up at Otis disapprovingly before he'd shut his eyes again and continue to shanty. Before he can shanty, Otis would scream, boom shakaloo! And then that would startle Jinder and the Singhs, who were deep in meditation, and they'd get in the faces of Heavy Machinery, and the Singhs would challenge them to a match up next, which won't end well for the Singh brothers, and this is a jobber match. This is probably going to kill the show completely, but oh well, we need to build up Heavy Machinery. The Dozer Bomb, my favourite move by my favourite wrestler, everyone's favourite human being, Otis Dozovich. But after the match, I didn't click it. There we go. Jinder gets in the ring after the Singhs lose, and he's not happy. He's an angry boy, and he'd grab a mic and he'd shout some things to the Singhs in Punjabi, and then he'd swap back to English. He'd be like, that is not how this night is going to end for us. We are the Maharaja and the Singhs, and we will face anybody who dares to step in the ring with the Maharaja. And he picks up a huge win here tonight on Raw. And then he'd calm himself down a little bit. He'd be like, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And in a 65C, she probably could have done better than this, but they don't click, so it's a bit weird. Bray Wyatt would pick up the win over Jinder Mahal in his return. So Bray, a big statement here tonight, making his return to Monday Night Raw, defeating a former WWE champion. Jinder apparently can't call stuff in ring. I don't know why I thought he could. Anyway, we get a recap package, obviously because Seth's not here because he's selling the injury. Lesnar's not here because he's Brock Lesnar. So we just get the recap of last week's segment and the Rumble win and the segment with the 6 F5s that injured Seth. And we get the announcement that Seth Rollins will actually be at Raw next week to address the injury and his match with Lesnar at WrestleMania. In the back, Ronda Rousey is sort of limping gingerly through the hallway. Natty's helping her. And when they stop, they see Stephanie and they stop. And Stephanie's like, "Oh, I promise you, I didn't invite Charlotte here. She'll pay for what she did, and it was unacceptable behaviour. I hope you're okay." And Ronda just stops her and she's like, "If Becky's injured, give me Charlotte." And Stephanie's like, "What?" And Ronda's like, I want to face Charlotte. Charlotte has pissed me off as well. And if Becky is injured, please, can I fight Charlotte at WrestleMania? And Stephanie's like, okay, I'll take that into consideration, and we'll see what comes from there. When we head into the main event and we get an 82B, this probably won't be as good of a Raw as last week, or as good as nowhere near as good as SmackDown. But it's Finn Balor and Braun Strowman who pick up the win. Finn actually scoring the pin on the almighty Intercontinental Champion, which sets him up nicely for his title match at the Elimination Chamber. Apparently Braun can't call stuff in ring either. I'm so used to everyone having good psych in the okay, that was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, that is the second episode of Monday Night Raw. We're seeing some interesting storylines take shape as we head into SmackDown. And I'll see you then.